to
Sure,
address, because you said, I want to hear your response, because you told me, or not me,
sure.
but you said in your story
Yeah,
that you've been getting a lot of DMs about the 10K challenge. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I wanted
yeah,
to
yeah.
know what you've heard about it. What are your thoughts? What kind of DMs are you getting? Like, what are your, yeah, what's your reaction to all that? The thought
Right,
behind it.
right, right. So like folks have been asking me, what this whole thing is about and like what do I think about it and everything like that. And like I was kind of like, wasn't this something that was already kind of established?
It's not
That was
new.
my
It's
main.
not new,
Yeah, it's
by
now
the way.
new. That's the thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the thing. Like people are like treating it like it's something that's brand new and
TikTok made it a brand new,
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. And that was like something that I was like, well, isn't this what you guys have been doing all along with repetition and everything like that?
Exactly.
But I think it's great because right now I think more folks are like more disciplined with this
Mm-hmm.
in a way that I've
Yep.
never seen before.
Correct.
Like some of my older clients have been reaching out to me asking about all these things, and they are like, hey, I've been doing this more, and I recognize like how much I have not been actually repeating, right?
Wow.
Like,
Yeah. We
yeah,
repeat negative
yeah,
thoughts indirectly. Indirectly,
yeah,
we repeat
yeah,
the negative
exactly.
story.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, I finally like I think it kind of clicked for them. Like they finally get it.
Yeah.
That what repetition really means. When we say repetition, I feel like they didn't understand, especially in the beginning, to what extent you may have to kind of drill it in your mind.
Yeah.
And I think kind
Exactly.
of giving like a number, right? Like throwing like 10K, for example, kind of gives them that, okay, so this is how many times I
Focus.
have to repeat.
Focus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think like you brought up a very good point where like you said like you time yourself and you kind of just repeat, right? And I realized like when you do that, like you are really like just saturating yourself. For me,
Yeah.
it has always
Yeah.
been writing down things. Like I would time myself, but I would write things down because like saying it over and over, sometimes it may be like, puts a strain on my throat. But like
Right.
I think like either way, it really works as well. Like, just focusing, intense focus for like 3 times a day and then
That's all I
just
need.
maintaining a favorable mental diet throughout the day. I feel like yeah, that's actually ideal. Yeah.
It is because, okay, let me tell you why. I was saying it in yesterday's video.
Hmm.
All the times when I was spiraling, I could have used that time to affirm instead. Imagine how different my life would be. Or all those times I was
Right.
worried about. Remember how all your followers ask, "Oh, what do I do when I'm thinking about what my SP's doing?" You can use that same time that you're worrying about what they're doing to affirming, and then you won't.
Precisely. Yeah.
So what the biggest benefit, Gautam, for me is that I haven't spiraled because I've been repeating. I'm too busy affirming 10,000
Right,
times. I'm like,
right,
I
right,
don't have
right.
time to spiral.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
No,
know what
no,
I'm saying?
seriously. Yeah, 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 yeah,
It's a
yeah.
good thing.
That's how it works. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially if they're spiraling uncontrollably, I would say like just go and affirm, right? Like just
Yeah,
do a
why not?
rampage, like really quick. And that kind of just like, mutes the noise and like, kind of puts you in that, yeah, that because your subconscious is absorbing everything all
Mm-hmm.
the time. So why not, like as you're affirming, as you're rampaging, that's what gets absorbed into your subconscious mind, whether or not you
Exactly.
like it. So yeah, it's going to be in your advantage there. Yeah.
Real quick, someone asked you. I'll let you answer it. I'll answer too. Any tips on how to avoid being triggered by your SP? I'll let you go
Okay.
first.
No, no, you want to go first? Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah.
Okay, avoid being triggered is that you have to note it. Okay, tell me if this is right. So that version of them that you see, right?
Hmm.
It's not permanent. You know what I mean? It's a version that you created subconsciously from old thoughts. So why
Mm.
would you get mad? It's just old news. You know what I mean? So my thing is, obviously the way you, I think you mentioned it, the way you react to them in the 3D while they're changing is just be normal, just be cool. You don't want to like say anything to make them trigger you more. But then when you're done talking to them, you get back to affirming the version you want. That's what I
Yeah,
think how you
yeah,
avoid
yeah,
being triggered.
yeah, yeah,
What
yeah,
about you?
yeah. I always see it as like, yeah, you created it, but like not to give too much weight to their words, right? I always say that,
Yeah,
like, don't take it too seriously, don't take it too hard, because the problem arises when you kind of give it, too much weight to everything, and that's when,
bro.
yeah, things kind of hits you. So, take it easy, and I feel like that's the main thing, and know that things can change. So yeah, trying to wave to everyone at the same time.
No. Okay, this real ass. Love this question. What are examples of things that people don't think are limiting beliefs that we should reflect upon?
Oh, where is it?
Ah,
Sorry, I can't find it.
I'll read it again.
Yeah.
Question: What are examples of things that people don't think are limiting beliefs that we should be aware of? That's a deep question, bro.
Right, right, right. I would say like, maybe the bigger things take so longer, especially in the beginning, right? Like
Yeah.
that's one big one I would say.
Oh, it's $1 million.
Um,
It's gonna take longer. Who said that?
yeah, yeah,
Who
yeah,
said
yeah,
that?
yeah. Says who? Yeah, exactly. or the other one is, you have to kind of like master this in order for you to get instant results, that you kind of have to build up to it. That may not necessarily be true. I mean, if you think of a friend and they call you, that's kind of instantaneous. There's like nothing really to master. Like, I mean, you suddenly learn and you grow and you evolve, but like, don't have that perception that, you have to reach a certain level, and then, things start just coming in instantaneously. I would say
Exactly.
manifesting is like, it's a constant, thing. Like, it's a 24/7 thing. You can't just turn it off. So, if you just change your thoughts and then just things starts to flow, and that's about it. So I think like those are some limiting beliefs that I've seen. Yeah.
Bro, let me tell you another one. So I was out with my friend, and he's like in his 30s, not married yet, and he literally said with his mouth, "Yeah, I've always just had trouble with relationships."
Right.
Well, yeah, you just affirmed it. You've always had trouble with relationships, so of course
Yeah.
you do. It's what your life is
You're
what you
right.
say it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. 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 Whether or
So,
not, yeah, you're always right. Regardless of what you say, you're always right. The
dude,
subconscious mind is always, yeah, it's a yes. Yeah.
so it's no surprise that he's not with someone because he's already subconsciously affirming, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to be in a
Precisely.
relationship."
Yeah.
Yeah, so I told him, bro, you gotta. When you tell people revision, they think you're like crazy, but it's like, I was like, bro, you just gotta like imagine that you've always been good at relationships, that everything has always worked out for you. Because if you
Right.
change your thought patterns from the past, it automatically changes your present and your future.
Yeah. Like for me, what I normally do is with friends or family who may not be so receptive to these kinds of like stuff. Like what I would do is I just kind of simply hold them in that state where
Yep.
they already have it, and then they just kind of shift into it. Right? Like when I started this journey, like back in like 2016, like, the people who thought like, I was probably crazy or something like that, like, they are right now in this space, even like, like as invested in it, and like they're
Yeah,
exploring and everything. It's so heartwarming to see. And, I feel like, you just kind of rub off people as well. So I feel like
exactly.
you just set the example, and they'll just kind of follow, and they will, grow and learn and evolve in their own way and whatnot. So I just feel like, and you can also just put them in that state of already having what they want in your mind, right? And they
Exactly.
have to conform to that because they are you pushed out. So yeah.
Dude, this is a good question. I used to, the law of attraction messed me up with this. Does the constant knowing a desire is manifesting of it more coming and not actually be here? I'm going to read it again. Does the
Right.
constant knowing of a
Knowing of
desire
the desire.
manifest more of it coming and not actually be here? I think what the person's asking is, how in LOA they tell you, "Oh, you can't say it's coming. You have to say it's already here." It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to say, "Oh, it's going to happen." You don't have to say it's already happened. You know what I mean? Like, I think
Right.
LOA has taught, have you heard that before? Like, LOA taught us that you can't
Right.
say, "Oh, I'm going to be a millionaire." You have to say, "I am a millionaire." No, you can say you're going to be a millionaire and you'll still be wrong.
Right.
What are your
Right.
thoughts on
Right.
that?
Right. What I would say is that like you can know it's coming, that's fair
Mm-hmm.
enough. But when you affirm, like you do affirm in present or past tense
That
only,
you
right?
have it.
Like
Yeah,
you
that you have
are
it.
a
Yes.
millionaire. Yeah, yeah,
Correct.
yeah. But you can have that sense of knowingness that, okay, every step that I'm taking, however unlikely it may seem, is leading me to the fulfillment of my desire. And I'm,
Correct.
just kind of, yeah, I'm just taking the steps, and the bridge of incidents is unfolding. So it's okay to acknowledge that you are in the middle, but know that it's all unfolding perfectly for you. That's the bare minimum, I would say. Right?
Yeah,
It's not
I
like,
think
oh,
so.
someday I would be, right? Like,
No, no,
because
no,
tomorrow
no.
never comes, right? Like, yeah.
Right.
So that's the main thing. And you can already embody the state of already being a millionaire, for example, right? You don't have to wait for the money to come. You can already think like that person.
Correct.
That's the thought process, is free. Like you can just embody any sort of thought process if you want to right now. There's nothing stopping you from embodying a thought process out there,
Have you
right? So
personally
that is
been
free.
already
Yeah.
affirming? Have you already been affirming? Like before I told you about 10K challenge, were you already doing a repetition routine or did you have your own? What was your
Right.
manifestation routine? Talk about yours.
So yeah, like I would write down things definitely.
Right.
Like
Okay.
that was
That
my
works for people.
routine.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would just write down things. I would just put on like a Neville lecture, and then just like write things down. Or sometimes I would repeat. In times when I can't really write down,
Right.
I would just kind of substitute it with like saying it out loud in my mind, or just kind of repeating. I kind of just mix and match those two. So yeah, that has always been kind of like my go-to kind of methods too, because
But
I
you never
kind of know it
counted. You never
works.
counted though, right? You never counted
That's
like
the
a
thing, that I
thousand or
never counted it, because I
me
was like,
neither.
because when I go like, I brute force that thing, right? Like I don't just like, affirm maybe like, for like 2 minutes and I'm like, no, that's enough. Like when I affirm like I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, right? Like I go on and on and on. Like until my tongue gets like, it's like a tongue twister almost, right? Like that's how dry my tongue would become, right? Like that's how fast I repeat stuff. So when I go brute force it.
Me
So
too,
I don't
bro.
even like,
Me
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. And I
But
think that's
somebody,
the thing. Yeah, sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, so what I was saying was, I think that's the kind of like, that's not how, like fast they come. Yeah. And, that's not how, easily they grasp the idea of like affirming, for example. They don't repeat it that quickly, right? Like they don't repeat it at that frequency, I would say, right? Like they maybe do it like maybe like 10 times or 20 times. They don't just repeat it so many times, right? Like they don't get what repetition really means sometimes, I would say. I feel like then that's why the 10K was great, because that kind of gave them a number,
Put your
something to
focus.
aim for. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Something to kind of aim for, which was, I think, great.
Bro,
Um,
okay,
yeah,
question for you. Do you say your affirmation or do you say them in your head? I do both, but I feel
I
like
do
doing it in
both.
your head,
Both.
I feel like doing it
Yeah.
in your head, you can do it faster in your head. So you don't have to take it off your tongue.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah. That's a good idea. Yeah, that's something that I've noticed too. Like, I think saying it in your mind is definitely faster, but like
faster.
sometimes the only thing I would say there is sometimes your mind can go to places, especially if you don't have the
That's
focus in the
true.
beginning,
That's
right?
true.
Saying it
That's
out
true.
loud just kind of puts you in that state easily, right? Like it kind of helps you to kind of focus when you're saying it out loud. You can't help but pay attention to those words.
Yep,
That's
that's
something
true.
I feel like, yeah, is
It hits
underrated.
your
Yeah.
subconscious.
Right. Yeah.
Also, this girl asked, bro, what do you do when the routine seems overwhelming? Okay, you know what's crazy about that question? I saw it in Sammy's group. Some people were saying that after the
Right.
10,000, they're exhausted. Um, First of all, do you think it's normal to feel tired after affirming that long? It is. I mean, it's
I
mentally
mean,
draining.
yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, 10,000 times it's
It's
a
a lot,
lot.
bro.
It's a lot. Yeah. So I guess it's normal. And I would say like, the good news I would say is that you won't always have to maintain a routine at
No,
that intensity,
no.
right? Yeah. So
Because
unless
eventually
I'm
it's going to
really,
be a dominant
yeah,
thought. Eventually it's going to be a
precisely,
dominant thought. And you
exactly,
won't
yeah.
need 10,000. You might just need 500. You know what I mean? Because when it becomes a
No,
habit,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, like 100%, because that's what I always tell my clients is like, this is not going to be a forever thing for you. That's the
No,
good
no, no,
news,
no,
right?
no.
Like,
Yeah.
because I think realistically speaking as well, like, we may not like, have that kind of like schedule, our schedule changes as time goes by as well. But
Right.
your beliefs are, the reason why we are aiming for something like 10,000 is because we are like breaking potentially years worth of limiting beliefs.
Yeah, years, bro. Yes.
Years,
That's why
yeah,
you're tired, actually, because
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah,
whole
yeah.
story is
Because
literally purging out of your system, and that's it's gonna be exhausting.
it is, it
It's gonna
is,
be
it is.
exhausting.
It is, it is, it is.
Dang, I didn't even
Sometimes
think
it's
of
like
that. You're right.
so extreme. Yeah. It's like so, such an extreme different point of view. And that's why, I would even like suggest if like you feel that it's really, complete opposite of where you are right now, like take it in steps, break it down, make it easier for you, take it in
Yeah.
milestones, but have the self-discipline to, like follow up with those milestones down the line too, right? Like don't just be complacent after reaching one milestone, I'd say. But doing it in milestones could be easier for you. Maybe that could like help you from it not being overwhelming. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, bro, another thing, like, people say, "Oh, I don't have like 10 minutes to affirm." Yes, you do. Like, say you're driving
Yeah,
somewhere
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
get grocery store, you can
You
affirm in
mentioned it
that time.
yesterday too, I believe.
Oh
Yeah, like
yeah,
you're
okay,
yeah,
yeah,
hogwash and
yeah. When you're freaking like vacuuming your house, when you're cleaning, when you're taking out trash, those you can throw affirmations in there instead of listening to
right,
music. You know what I mean? And your
100%.
subconscious takes all that, dude. And it's like, wow. Like, how did you find out? Like, how would you explain to people how the subconscious works? Because people don't realize that's what manifests. Like, because there's two parts to your brain. There's conscious and subconscious. How would you
Right.
explain to somebody who's never heard it, like in simple terms, what is the difference and how powerful it is?
Um, okay, so if if your conscious mind is like a normal PC, like your desktop PC,
Yeah.
your subconscious is like the supercomputer,
Oh,
right?
okay. I like that.
Right?
I
It's
like that.
one with like a huge data center, right? Like,
Whoa. Okay.
your conscious mind is like a desktop PC or like your Surface laptop. It's like a little cute, it's like just on your desk type of thing. Your subconscious, on the other hand, it's a large data center. Like that's how I see it, right?
Yeah.
It absorbs everything. Think about it.
Absorbed
From the
everything, bro.
moment you're born, it registers everything, even probably before that, right? Like ever since like you're as Peter's like in your mother's womb for like from the age of like 3 months old, for example, right? Everything gets recorded in your mind, everything, like nothing gets like missed out.
Yeah.
And there's this thing, I'm not sure if you have heard it before. When you die, apparently your brain kind of plays everything in reverse your entire life. It's like before shutting down. So think
Yeah.
about it, it's all still there somewhere in your head. You may have forgotten it consciously, but it's all in your mind,
Yeah.
right? So
That's
this is what
crazy.
we are, this is what we are trying to do with like, tackle with like, with repetition and everything is we are ingraining something into a mind, which is
New
not,
core
which
belief.
is, yeah,
New core
we are
belief.
changing your core beliefs there. And, your subconscious mind registers everything. That's why repetition really, really works, right?
It
And the
does.
loudest noises, like is the ones that you are like constantly getting, right? Like, the
Yeah.
subconscious has like so many things. And I think the most loud, like noise and everything, that's the one that we pick up the most, right? So that's why we are repeating more, right? So the lesser thoughts, they just kind of fade away, right, in the background. So essentially what we're trying to do with repetition, I would say, is like it's like making it as loud as possible so
Yeah.
that the conscious mind starts to hear it as well, type of thing.
Bro,
That becomes our belief. Yeah.
someone just asked, oh, when you affirm, doesn't it come from lack? And I'm like, oh, heck, okay. Twitter is so toxic. TikTok is so toxic, right? They're saying that if you affirm, it's coming from lack. No, you have to affirm. The affirming is thinking. Like affirming, the way you impress something about your subconscious mind is through affirming. Like people
Right.
say, oh, I should just assume or just feel it. How are you going to get to that feeling unless you repeat? So
By
affirming is
affirming.
not coming from lack. Affirming is getting your desire. What are your thoughts on that? People that say,
Right.
oh,
There's a
it's coming from
huge
lack.
difference between coming from a place of lack and acknowledging just where you are right now.
Yeah.
Acceptance is not saying that you are coming from a lack mindset. Lack is, oh, they have it, I don't have it, I don't have it. That's coming from a lack mindset.
Right. That's
It's not
lack.
lack
Correct.
mindset to say this
I
is
have
where
it.
I'm at right now, but this is where I would like to be, and I'm going to go, from here to where I want to be through affirming. That's not coming from a lack mindset. That's accepting, right? We don't
Right.
want to be in denial of something, right? Like,
Right.
we are making an assessment of the situation and we are taking steps according to that. So there's nothing lack about it. Yeah.
No, that's crazy. Yeah, people say, "Oh, Furman comes from lack." No, it doesn't. Yeah, I had to clear that up because on TikTok, bro, everyone will just say whatever just to get clients, man. Like they don't even know what they're talking about. Like this
Right,
whole
right, right.
affirming thing, it's backed by
Hmm.
science. Like when you think stuff
It's
over and over
literally like,
again.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, can
yeah,
you
yeah.
explain, bro? I didn't understand it. The video that you or post about Positron. Can you tell me what that is? Like
Right.
what is that all about? What does that mean?
So basically, this was from another lecture called Justified States, right?
Okay.
So it's on YouTube, like from a couple of different guys, so you can watch it
Okay.
as well. So basically, Richard Feynman released a paper, I think in the 40s or something, regarding
Okay.
a positron, right? So this
A
was not
positron.
accepted for a very, very long time because people didn't know that this thing actually existed, right?
Okay.
So, and the only reason that they believe that this might is because Einstein's equation suggested that this might actually exist.
But
So think about,
is that a neuron in your brain? What's a
oh,
positron?
no, no,
What
no.
is
It's basically an antimatter. So I'll get to it, right?
okay.
So, like think about like a algebraic equation, right? Like, so if you have like x squared, right, equals to maybe 4, right? You can write it as like x equals to 2 or negative 2,
Okay.
right? If x squared equals to 4, right? Like it can be either positive 2 times 2 or negative 2 times 2,
Okay.
right? Like, so both will give you a positive 4, right? So a positron is just an antimatter of an electron, basically, right? So it basically means that everything, like in this universe also has a equal and opposite like entity to it, right? And that's what a positron is. It's everything that has, like an electron has, right? Like mass, spin, charge, and everything. But the only thing that's different for a positron is the charge, right? It's positively charged.
Okay.
So the mass is the same, the spin is the same, but it's just positively charged, right? So what Richard Feynman essentially discovered was when when an antimatter and a matter collides, they release light, they release photons, right? So when an electron and an anti-electron, which is a positron, they collide, they release photons like light waves, basically. So that's what he discovered. But what happens was the positron seems to be going back in time, right? So the math suggested that. So, this was actually refuted by when Neville explained to his chemist friend about how manifesting works, right? Like he was like, that's impossible. That's not how this works. How can you go to a place in time, because he was talking about entropy, right? Which is like, you have to go forward in time, right? So he was trying to explain to Neville, and back then that paper wasn't released. So when that
Right,
paper was
right,
released, like, he wrote back to Neville saying, what, like, a scientist, a professor wrote about this, and I can't believe that what you explained to me was kind of written here in a different way, of course, but it was like essentially what was written.
right,
So a positron goes back in time and it bounces back. So the graph that I kind of showed can be interpreted as like the positron goes back in time, and it bumps up, it takes up energy, and then it becomes an electron, therefore going
right.
forward in time, right? So it's a bit confusing, I know. Like, I hope I can explain it well, but like, that's the way I understand it. So essentially the premise is that if you can go forward in time and think of something, and when you like open your eyes, you are being led to that again, right? That's what it's kind of explaining. So
I
that
like that,
was
bro.
kind of explained that, using a scientific phenomenon like with the positron, right? Like, so it's basically an antimatter, right? Which goes backward in time. So it's a way that physicists interpret how the thing moves, like how an electron moves. So, using math, they think, well, this is actually seems to be going backward in time rather than forward in time, which doesn't make sense. But on a quantum level, like, everything doesn't make sense, like, honestly, right?
No.
That's why when I posted the whole Neil deGrasse Tyson video at one point, like in one of my posts, I'm not sure if you saw it, he always says, like, even infinity, there are different levels of infinity. Infinity is not
Right.
just infinity, right?
Wow.
Yeah, think about
Yeah.
that. Like, yeah, and I
Crazy.
think this was actually like even like said in like Hindu scriptures before. Like, I've heard of like people talking about it, and I was like, I was like, well, how is that possible? Infinity is infinity, and this is one such phenomenon where it's like, you know, it doesn't make sense to us, but like as Neil deGrasse Tyson puts it, the universe is under no obligation to make sense to you.
No. Manifestation is not logical, bro.
Yeah,
It
and
is
that's the
not.
thing that I always tell people is don't try to understand it from the frame of reference that you know, just be open to it,
Yeah.
right? It's more about unlearning than learning, I would say, this journey. Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people, bro, that trip people up is like when you're affirming. By the way, there was a thread about resistance. Tell me if this is normal. Like when you're
Yeah.
affirming, right? Say you're affirming you're rich, but you've been broke your whole life. Is it normal to feel like, this doesn't feel right? Like this is not true. Like so, those people, all they gotta do is persist until they feel natural about it, right? Because it's not gonna feel real at first, because you've been
Right.
broke your whole life, and now you're affirming you're a millionaire. It's like, the heck. So how do people push past that? Do they just affirm through it?
Right. It's just a hump, right? So what happens is that when you are affirming, like initially the push, the resistance will be a lot harder because
Right.
the ego mind is going to be threatened by the new
Mm,
thoughts, which is, the
mm.
ego mind is essentially designed to keep you safe, right? So
Right. Right.
it kind of pushes the old story that much more to kind of, keep you in that state. So what happens is that like you have to kind of just push past it through repetition. Repetition is your best friend there, right? You have to kind of understand that you're not your ego mind, you're not your thoughts, you're the observer. So kind of just observe that, okay, the ego mind is kind of pushing the old story that much more, which is really normal. That means
Right.
that whatever that I'm actually planting in my mind is actually working, right? So that's all the more reason to kind of push past it at this point, right? Because once I cross this hump, like, I'm this is going to feel as natural as possible down the line, so I'm just going to
Mm.
repeat it, right? So
And you won't
it
get to
takes a
that
lot of
feeling,
awareness. Yeah, yeah,
and you
yeah.
won't get to that feeling of naturalness until you repeat. That's the only way to get there, because it's
Yeah,
gonna
it's
feel
constantly
unnatural in the
like
beginning.
repeating the new story, like not even just like affirming per se, not just a line of thought per se. It's just that new story. Like, what kind of a story are you telling yourself,
Right.
right? As you go through life, like what is that story, right? Like when sometimes people like to ask, right? Like, what's your story, right?
Mm.
When someone meets you, what comes to your mind then, right?
Wow. That's deep.
How do you describe yourself, right? Like,
Wow.
and that kind of tells you like, how do you perceive yourself, and that, to me is like, if you have like affirmed enough, your story that you will tell people will be different.
Real quick, what's on? Because someone asked this.
Yeah.
This perfectly what you're saying. Any advice for someone who's been trying it for months and haven't gotten it into 3D yet? So someone's been doing it for 3 months, they haven't gotten it yet. What do you say to that person?
I mean, 3 months is 90 days, right?
Right.
Like 90 days, right? Compared to, months of limiting beliefs or years of limiting beliefs being cemented, 90 days, like if you compare it, right?
That's true.
It's, the duration there, it's not, yeah. So I would say like, keep
Keep
going.
keep go
Yeah,
persist, right? Persist.
persist. Yeah. And, but don't get disheartened, right? And I feel like a lot of people get bummed out because they compare, right? Like, especially
They
this
say
happens a lot
when
in
you say
Facebook
why it
groups.
isn't
Yeah.
it here yet. When you say why isn't it here yet, you create more of it not being there. Go ahead, keep going. Yeah, that you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I feel like you just have to trust the process, right? Like you are walking on the right path. You just have to kind of like trust that you are, and just take the next step, right? Focus on conquering the day rather than the entire journey, and that makes it easier for you, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like people mentally tire themselves out even before they even start the journey, thinking that it's going to take, you know, a while. So don't do that, right? Like keep seeing the end in your mind, keep planting the new seeds in your mind, right? Like, and keep going. And before you know, you'll already be here. Be so focused on yourself that you don't even have time to look at your neighbor's lawn, for example. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's the way I would do it. Yeah, yeah.
Also, let me give a success story, bro, because I kind of talked to you about this, but not really. But like, I started
Hmm.
trading stocks last November, right? The stock market, and like, I would
Right,
affirm that I make money in the stock market, bro. 10 straight months, I lost money.
wow,
10 straight, right?
right,
So, I was like, man, do I give up? Like, but no, because I'm seeing all these people make thousands of dollars a day, right? So, to that person
right.
that asked that question, I had to persist and say, like the last 7 days, I've been affirming I'm the best trader in the world, the best trader in the world, like persisting in that assumption, right? And then finally, after 10 months, this September, bro, is my first profitable month. Like I'm finally
Wow.
making money. But you see how it took 10 months to get there? Because I had limiting beliefs like people lose money or it's hard. But I had to saturate my mind through repetition that no, I can do this. And then I'm going to be good at
Hmm.
this. So you got to persist, even if it's hard, like you have to keep going.
Oh
That's my
yeah.
biggest advice.
Yeah, no, I'm no stranger to it. Like because when I started, this even like, I didn't have any coaching clients, I think like for like 6 months ish. Like it
Whoa.
didn't even build up momentum. The first 2 months I'd say it was like double digits
Okay.
revenue wise for the first 2 months.
Yeah.
Right? So that
Wow.
means like we're talking maybe one or two clients per month. But
That's crazy.
I was kind of beginning school and everything, and that was that. But like I didn't see it in the number way, but I know like okay, I wasn't like, okay, this isn't here yet. Where's my, 5 figures or something like that? I was like, no, okay, this is a great beginning, right? This is the foundation of
Real
something bigger.
quick,
I'm gonna, yeah.
what were your affirmations for your coaching business? What did you say? Like my coaching business is successful. What were your
I didn't.
affirmations?
Yeah, so that for that I didn't use affirmations. I just kind of envisioned it, right? I would
Oh, okay,
narrate it to
okay.
someone, right? Like, so that's the thing. I
Oh,
would use
what
different
do you mean?
techniques
Give
for
me
different
examples.
areas. So, like it's
Please
like
do.
this, right? Like, so I would think of like the journey, like
Okay.
further down the line, and I would see like, okay, like I'm at X stage right now, and someone asking me, how did you do it? Where
So you're
did you
scripting.
start?
It's kind of like scripting, right?
It's
Visualization,
it's
kind of.
yeah, it's kind of like an inner conversation that I would
Got
have
it.
with
Okay.
someone,
So you
right? And I would
imagined you
just
were at that end goal, that you were already successful, and you were talking to someone about
precisely.
it. Got
Yeah,
you. Okay, I
yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that kind of really excites me because like I'm already at the end and I'm just looking back at with this memory right now with like nostalgic fondness type of thing. And that kind of like puts me in what it does is that when you kind of look back at things with like nostalgia, it kind of just puts you in a state of gratitude for what you have right now.
As if you
So
already
if
had it,
I'm
right? Yeah.
precisely, so if you are coming at it from a perspective that you're already a millionaire, kind of looking back at this place and it's like, wow, I used to
Dang.
be XYZ.
And
That is
now
like
I'm
it's
this.
supercharging your memory, right?
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. That's a
So
technique, by
yeah,
the way. I remember when I was single,
right,
but now I'm married. I remember when I was broke, but now I'm rich. That's a method, by the way. I remember
right,
when I was this,
right,
but
right,
now I'm
right.
that.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of did that, a little bit of that, a little bit. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Without I that's the thing, right? Like I do it very intuitively. I didn't have that name. Like I don't put a name to it until like I kind of found like law of assumption, and then the vocabulary kind of just came, right?
okay.
So yeah, that like what you said, like it's I remember when technically it's that kind of a method. So yeah, I think this
Yeah.
question, I think you need to answer this one. How to ideally cross 10K repetition as quickly as possible?
Dude, everybody wants to do everything so fast. Okay, you know what's funny? Look, I'm gonna break it down to you so that you guys know. So if you do the 10K affirmations, okay, 400 is how many you do in 10 minutes, right? Um, I'm gonna get back to that question, but 400 is 10 minutes, so 10,000 is 3.5 hours.
Oh,
It is 3.5 hours. That's why I tell everyone you got to break it up into 10-minute sessions, right? And write down, okay, I did 10 minutes today, and then add it up because 3.5 hours is 60 times 180, 210 minutes. So if you do
wow.
200, but look at this, if you do 210 minutes divided by 10, 21 days of doing 10 minutes a day, you get to 10,000. But if you
Right,
do
right, right.
three 10-minute sessions a day, that means in 7 days you get to 10,000. It's not that hard. You don't have to do it all in one day. So if you do three
Right.
10-minute sessions a day, in 7 days you get to 10,000. There's your answer.
Right, 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 right.
You don't
So
have to
that was
speed it up.
something.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. I think that was something that I was wondering too. Like, do folks do it in a day, or like how does that
No,
go? Yeah,
I
yeah,
break it
yeah,
up, bro. I'm a machine, and I can't do it in a day. You know, like I'm
yeah.
crazy. Well, there was a
Right,
question.
right.
This one is a good one. I've been manifesting my SP for more than a year. We never met or talked, and at first there were no signs, but now a lot of coincidences are happening. It's happening. Oh, congratulations!
Yeah,
You're getting
congratulations.
movement.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
getting
yeah,
movement.
yeah, 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 yeah. I
It's
would
not a
say that that's
coincidence.
a good thing. Yeah, nothing is a coincidence. Yes. Yeah, I would say yeah,
That's
you're on the right path.
movement.
Keep going, keep going. Yeah, congratulations. Yeah.
Oh, what do you say to people? Like, for example, let's say somebody like went on a their SB asked them to go out, right? But
Mm-hmm.
during the hangout, they didn't hug them or kiss them. Like, what do you say to that person? Do they revise that they got the hug or the kiss, or do they just like keep affirming? Like, what do you say to that? Because they
I
kind
would
of
say
like got
yeah,
partial
yeah.
manifestation, but not the full manifestation. So, what do you say to
Yeah,
that?
I would say like, celebrate as to how far you have come, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, think about folks who are long distance, think about folks who are no contact,
Yeah, no
right? And the
contact,
fact that you're even, like
getting a hangout,
hanging out with your SP, like that's a
movement.
win. That's a win, like embrace that. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
revise it definitely at the end of the day. Like Neville always encourages you to revise
Revise.
like at the end of the day, every day, even if it's not like for a specific thing. But also, affirm like, okay, this is just a temporary thing. Like, you are building up towards it. The end goal doesn't change just because your SP didn't hug you on a date or something, right? Like
Right,
it
right.
doesn't change where you want to go. That's the thing. Like during the hardest times of my life, people will be like, oh no, it's okay. You're still going to, achieve, you're going to do big in life and things like that in a very pity way. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. Like, no shit. Like, I am going to be that. This doesn't change anything. Right? When I
Yeah,
used to like suck at school and everything like that, it was like, oh, people will be like kind of pitying me type of thing. I'm like, no, I know that. Maybe this might not be my way of going, but I know that. Like, this
yeah.
doesn't change that for me. And I always had that kind of thing. So regardless of where you are right now, know that if you are very fixated on your end goal, know that it doesn't change it. Like this doesn't change it. Yeah.
So for that person, again, celebrate the movement that you did get,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
also revise as if it's the full movement, pretty much. You know.
Yeah, you can definitely revise it. And you can just be like, yeah, like you can kind of build up to it and revise it, but at the same time keep the end in mind still.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right, go back to the end, right? Don't get hung up on this, revising. I mean, you can revise it once and just kind of leave it, but don't take it too seriously. Don't give the actions too much weight,
Got it.
right?
Okay.
Make it all
Gotcha.
about you. Yeah. Think about it like, oh, like how you react, how you held yourself, and like celebrate it, because that, I think, like that's the most important thing. Like
Yeah, you
use the
got movement.
opportunity to boost your self concept. Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. So again, celebrate the movement. Keep the end goal in mind, and if you want to revise it, if you did get it, that's cool too. You know.
Right.
Cool. Cool.
Thank you guys. Yeah. I think there was one more. I think someone asked where are we from. So I'm from Singapore, and you're from
I'm
California.
born in the Philippines, but I live in California.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So I remember asking Gautam in a past live stream because I kept thinking about the when and how, and now that I'm following Gautam's advice, coincidence is happening. A lot of incidents. Oh, thank you.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome.
Okay, there's a question. What can I do with? I'm trying to manifest my SP, and he just keeps getting more distance, and now we are in no contact.
I'll let you get
So
this one.
yeah, so what I would do is, like see it as feedback. Like, okay, so there's some sort of a thought that could potentially be hindering, of sorts. But if you feel like, no, you know what, I'm doing everything by the book. I'm doing, like practicing everything to the T. Keep going. Like, maybe this has to happen for him to realize how much he loves you, for example.
Mm,
Right? Like Neville always talks about, like, okay, let's say if you want a job and you tell me you get
angel.
fired the next day, right? It's not going to, Neville won't bat an eye, because it's like, you have to maybe get fired to get a raise in your new job, for example. You never know
Exactly.
how the events kind of play out. So I would say, like, trust the process if you are playing it, to the T. But if you feel like, what, maybe I could do some things better, like, sit down and reflect, and, change your mental diet and be consistent with those favorable thoughts as much as possible. Yeah.
Let me answer this. Okay, so I had an SP I was
Yeah.
manifesting in 2013. We didn't have contact for 3 months because I
Mm-hmm.
I did something and then she got mad and we didn't talk for 3 months, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it was hard, bro. I'm not gonna lie, it was hard. Like 3 months not speaking to someone that you like. I'm like, oh my god, what do I do here, right? It was
Mm-hmm.
depressing, dude. But I had to focus every day that number one, we're gonna be together. It's going to manifest, but every day I just had to believe that, you know what, this is gonna happen, you know. And I created a vision board, right? I put a picture of that person and I kept it in my car, and I saw that picture every day, and then eventually, out of
Mm-hmm.
nowhere, she contacted me, and then we ended up going to Disneyland, of all places.
Wow.
I know.
Right.
So for the person with no contact, if you want to keep a picture, fine. If you, but you also want to affirm that it's already there, you know. And,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to persist. You can't give up.
Right. 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 There's one, I'm not sure. I just want to make sure that I'm covering all the questions. Let me go up. Now, the only worry that I have regarding my SP sometimes is that he might not recognize me when we finally meet. So, like, I guess what you're asking is, you have changed so much. Did that ever happen to you? Like, did you ever think, like, if I change so much from who I am right now, will that somehow affect it? I've never had it. Like, yeah, I just want to get
No,
your
not
thoughts
at
on it.
all.
Yeah.
Also, I think what she means too is that she's not worried about it anymore, and I'm actually going through that right now. Like, I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'm not worried if my manifestation. Of course, it's coming.
Right.
I don't. It's
Right.
not a
Right.
matter
Right.
of if; it's a matter of when. You know what I'm saying? So now,
Right.
I,
Right.
I
Right.
want to share with your followers, while you're waiting for your manifestation, enjoy your life. You know what I mean? Like, don't
That's the
stress
thing.
about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think you mentioned it. You got to do fun stuff, things that you like. To me, I listen to Ariana Grande. I dance. I go to the gym. I
Right.
work out. Like, you got to do fun stuff, because then your SP or the money, whatever you're trying to manifest, is going to be drawn to you because you have this energy that's magnetic. You know what I mean? Like, this energy that says, I already have it. Also, you're working on your self concept because you're indirectly saying, I deserve this. You know, no one deserves love and money more than me. You
Right.
know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Like, so of course it's coming, duh. And you got to say to yourself, like, of course that person likes me, duh. Why wouldn't they?
Why
Because I'm
wouldn't they?
amazing.
Yeah. 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 Even if it's
Duh, of
sarcastic,
course.
like that's the thing. Like even if you use sarcasm there, right? Like go for it. Like, yeah, whatever floats your boat. Because whatever that you're saying, even in a joking way,
Hmm.
like manifests, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I will always tell people, don't even joke in a way that kind of puts you down in any way,
Bye. I
right?
have a few minutes
So
because the
yeah,
store is about to close. Let me add one more thing. Have
right.
you ever used affirmations yourself?
Um,
Affirmations. Do you know what that is?
like maybe like rarely. Yeah, I think it's like asking questions, right? Oh, why am I getting so blessed in my life type of thing, or why am
This
I
is
so
okay.
lucky type of
When it comes,
thing,
yeah, when it comes to
right?
SP, I have some tips. Instead of saying, "Oh my God, we're in no contact," you can like trick your brain and say, "Damn, why is she always calling me? Why is he so in love with me? Dang,
Right.
why are you texting me so much? You know, or like you like, dang, why
Right.
do I have so much money? Like, what the heck? Why is my business booming so much? Like, I know it sounds like
Hmm.
a lie, but like you have to trick your brain into thinking that, and the way to trick your subconscious is by asking questions like, dang, why am I so blessed? Like,
Right.
what the heck? How would this happen so
Right.
fast? Have you
I think
you've
one
heard of
thing
it?
that someone, yeah, 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 yeah. I think one thing that a lot of people have, like other coaches have, like kind of made me realize is that your subconscious doesn't have any eyes,
No, it
right?
does not. It doesn't
So
know. You can tell it anything.
yeah, that's the thing. So you can tell it anything. That's the thing. So whatever that you say, it has to become true. So yeah,
Yeah. Dude, something could be a complete lie. Like your subconscious does not know that you have no money in your bank account right now, right? If that's your circumstance, right? You can literally say over and over again, I got $1 million, I got $1 million. Your subconscious is gonna be like, oh, okay. So what it does is now, because you're
hmm,
persisting in it, you're creating a bridge of events that leads to the $1 million.
right,
The problem is people affirm, oh, I got a million, but then the next minute, oh, do I don't have any money. So your subconscious is like, okay, what do you want? Do you want the million or you want the zero? You're constantly fighting,
right, right,
because
right.
when
Yeah.
people react to the 3D emotionally, mentally, it tells your subconscious you don't have it. So that's why we say don't react to the 3D, because then you're just going to create more of that. So ignore that. Go back to your
Hmm.
affirming. No, I have it already. I have it already.
Right,
What are your
right,
thoughts on that?
right. No, I mean, I completely agree with you that like that's how I would deal with it too, right? Like, I would just keep affirming and like I wouldn't even like ignore it as much as I can. I mean, obviously, if you have
Yeah,
to deal with certain things at that moment, do it. But then once you are done with it, stop thinking about it,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's the way you deal with it. And I think like people will get better with it as time goes by, right? Yeah, and don't beat yourself up as well. That's one thing I just wanted to say was be patient with yourself, right? Because we have been taught, the exact opposite of like law of assumption, for example, all our lives. So, like for you to unlearn some things, it may take a while, like, it may take, a month or two. Like, so be patient with yourself, right? Don't
It,
compare yourself with like, folks on Facebook or YouTube or anything like that and be like, oh, why is it not happening for me type of thing. Everyone is in their own journey. So honor where you are and go according to that. Yeah.
boss, so the thing I'm gonna say, like, I know, like, people watching right now, they're like, damn, that guy's crazy. He has so much energy. How does he manifest? Listen, I was once like you guys, dude. I spiraled.
Right.
I struggled with doubt. I struggled with
Mm-hmm.
poor self-concept. I didn't think I deserved love. I didn't think I deserved wealth. Trust me, I've been through all of that, like,
Right.
but if you're in that position right now, just know that it is a process, it's a journey. And as you do the repetition, if you do the inner work, it's gonna change. Like for me, let me tell you, this 10,000 affirmations challenge thing, bro, the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing it's done for me, it's brought me peace. I don't think the doubts as much because I don't have time because I'm too busy affirming 10,000. How can I have time to doubt?
Right.
And
Right. Right.
also,
Right.
it's brought me happiness and it's brought me a love for life because it's like, dude, we're in control. Why would you be mad
We
at
are.
life
Yeah.
when you can literally, like, your life is just a mirror, right? Like, if you want the money, if you want the success, if you want the person, you can have it. If you do the work here, you can have it right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you 100%, right? Like making your peace and happiness the number one priority, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like enables you to just kind of like just breeze through life, right? Like nothing phases you, right? When you make yourself the priority, when you make that, okay, is this bringing me peace of mind or happiness? Then if it's not, you kind of just remove it from your life and just focus on what you want. That's how you kind of create the life that you want. I feel like so many of us like used to spend time like, thinking about stuff that we don't want to attract into our lives more so than, thinking about stuff that we do want in our lives, right? And we also, we think, from the desire, right? Like that's something that we
Yeah.
learn in law of assumption is to think from that desire. And if we
Yeah.
do that, yeah, it's a game changer, and I think the 10K affirmations kind of just like reinforces the importance of like drilling it in your mind,
Yeah.
especially in the beginning, right? So I would
Exactly.
say like the 10K affirmations, especially for someone starting, it's like a boot camp kind of phase, right? You're not
Boot
always
camp
going to
for
be
sure.
training at that
For sure.
intensity,
But you
but
need it
in
the
the
beginning.
beginning, yeah, in the beginning, just to kind of hammer you out, right? Like when you go into the military, like what do? They shave your head,
Yep.
they put you through the paces, right? But it's always not going to be at that intensity. If someone thinks that the all army does is like what they do in the boot camp, they're crazy because that's you can't just maintain that intensity all the time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, that's about it. So do you have any? Yeah, this will
Wait,
be
one
uploaded
final
onto
thing.
YouTube. Yeah, yeah.
One final thing, bro, because they're trying to kick me out of this bookstore right now. It's closing in like 10 minutes. Okay, can you give your followers, I'm going to do it too. Can you share with us 2 umbrella affirmations that you use? 2 umbrellas.
Okay, so I used to say this, and I still do, is may everything be favorable for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's
Everything
one thing that I
favorable.
always say. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like that
And
because it covers
yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I always say like I always attract the best case scenarios. I'm always living the best case
Ooh,
scenarios.
I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Best
yeah,
case
yeah, yeah,
scenario. That's gangster, bro.
yeah,
I always do the best case scenario. I like that. Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah,
mine are everything in my life is perfect, and
yeah.
my life is so amazing because
Yeah,
everything in my life
yesterday
is
I saw your
perfect.
video and I was like, I really resonated with it. Yeah, yeah,
Thanks,
yeah.
bro. Because when everything is perfect, it covers everything: SP, money, health, everything. And if you have an amazing life, duh, you have it all. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Um,
right, right.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
upload this, bro.
Precisely. Yeah.
I was only gonna do 10 minutes. We doing 45 minutes, man. This is insane. Like,
Wow.
we
Yeah,
always have
no,
fun.
that's the thing. Yeah. And I think what you said was so important. We kind of glossed it over, but like your subconscious mind understands what you mean by a perfect life.
Yep,
It
it does.
understands the vagueness. Like you think you might be vague, but your higher self knows exactly what you mean by the word perfect. What
Yep.
you mean by the term success, for example. What you mean by the term favorable, right? I think that's a concern with a lot of folks is that they don't believe that the umbrella affirmation might kind of cover
They're gonna
everything
miss.
for them.
Yeah, they're gonna. No, it covers
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, it covers everything. Yeah,
Everything
yeah,
means
yeah,
everything. It
yeah,
means
yeah,
your
yeah.
health, your work, your job, your money, your person. Everything in life
Right,
is perfect. What's
right,
everything
right,
to
right,
you? Your mind knows what's everything.
right,
Um,
right, right.
but
Yeah.
anyways, I
So, do
gotta
you
head
have
out,
any
bro.
closing remarks or anything like that? Or yeah.
Yes, persist. And don't give up because the only time your manifestation doesn't happen is when you quit. And the people
Mm-hmm.
ask me, how long do I have to affirm? Until it shows up. Until it
Right,
shows up.
right. Till it shows
Keep
up.
going until it
Yeah.
shows up.
If it's not the
All
end,
right,
it's the
bro.
middle. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Exactly. I'll
yeah.
catch you later, okay? Thanks for having
Yeah,
me.
sure, sure. All right, man. Yeah. See you then. Yeah. So guys, if you have any last questions or anything like that, I'll just wrap it up. Just take about maybe 5 minutes, and I'll just answer a few questions, and we'll call it a day. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, if I missed out anything, just kind of send it now so that I will just answer those few questions. And yeah, and this will be uploaded onto YouTube. Rest assured. I know This wasn't planned, so I didn't kind of notify in my story as well. So sorry about that. But yeah, yes. I'll put it on YouTube. Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any other questions that I kind of missed out, um, so that I can answer those questions right now. But yeah, if it's further up, like just feel free to kind of put it here right now. And yeah. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, thank you. What powerful affirmations can I use to attract my SP back? Um, I would say there are no such things as like powerful affirmations, but I would say like, just keeping it like simple for yourself, something that's easy to repeat, right? So I would say in a sentence, like have not more than like 10 words that kind of gives you an easy way to kind of repeat it. So yeah, I would say those are anything that way I feel like would really help you. And yeah, so what powerful affirmations, the top of my mind, I can think SP loves me unconditionally. SP cherishes me. SP is boasting me to my friends and family. SP is so proud of me, for example. SP is always supporting me regardless of what I do. Those are some things that I guess you can affirm. Again, this is like literally top of my mind. So yeah, how to persist without getting desperate. So you persist without getting desperate by coming from a place of love, right? The underlying thought there comes from a place of love, right? Love for what you want rather than, fear of losing it. That's when you get desperate, right? When you fear losing something, that's when you get desperate. So, trying to come from a place of love, the core underlying thought there, ask yourself if it's come from a place of love, and that will really help you. Yeah. What if you get tired of techniques? So stick to 2 to 3 techniques, something that you're comfortable with. Come up with a routine that's easy to kind of repeat, right? Like your schedule the best. So what I would say is that, experiment with like different schedules and like see, okay, this is repeatable for me consistently and kind of stick to that. If you feel like the intensity is too much for you, like feel free to water it down just a little bit. But if you feel like maybe like having 3 techniques is too much, then simply stick to one technique and be consistent rather than trying to use 3 techniques like simultaneously, for example, right? So that's something that I would definitely look into. So yeah. How to manifest successfully if I have been persistent for a really long time, yet I don't see it in the 3D, right? So what I would say is that you keep going, like don't lose faith in your vision, right? If you are seeing it, right, don't let anyone talk you out of it, right? You go with the flow and you persist in the assumption, right? And you keep going until it shows up. Like it has to show up. There's no way that it won't show up. So don't get disheartened. Don't let those noise kind of drown you, right? Don't let your ego mind get to you. If you can see it in your mind, it has to happen. Why God shall not be mocked, right? It already exists. Creation is already finished. It is out there. So you are capable of making it happen in your reality. So keep going. Don't give up. Yeah. I don't do one-on-ones with like generally because I just do it with like friends who think. But if you have anything, you guys can ask me questions here. So yeah, one last question: any advice for meeting SP if we have never talked or met in person? I feel like I talked to him a lot in 5D, but never in 3D. I would say like keep going with that, right? Like keep talking to him in your imaginal scenes, and what happens is that you will kind of see it being reflected right in the 3D as well, like at one point. So you keep going with that, right? And he has to conform to that. So yeah. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. How to deal with jealousy after seeing couples? See, that's the thing, right? Like when you see couples, it's not like the reason why you see it is because the way I would see it is it's going to happen for you. It's like the universe kind of winking at you and saying you're going to receive that, right? So rather than seeing it as how come they have it and I don't, see them as an extension of you. They are you pushed out. So if it happens to them, of course it's capable for happening to you, right? So embrace it, right? Like celebrate their wins, and you are going to receive it too. It's not like you are going to lack, forever, right? You're not going to be single forever, right? So come at it from that perspective. Come at it from the abundance mindset, right? Just because they, are in a happy relationship doesn't mean you will never get it, right? So you are going to have that too. So celebrate it for them to like it's like the same thing with money, right? One person being rich doesn't mean there's less for anyone else, right? Because the Fed is always printing money, right? So it's an abundant source, right? It's almost infinite if it wants to be. So wealth or even success for that matter, right? Like always see it as if it can happen for them, it can happen for me, right? And they have me pushed out. So I'm going to take it as a sign and persist and just be grateful for the fact that I can even like see this in my reality right now. Because if something is in your reality, it's because you manifested it, right? So see a happy relationship as a sign, as a foreshadowing as to what's about to come into your life. Yeah. Okay, so what I said for my umbrella affirmations was, may everything be favorable for me, and I'm always attracting the best case scenarios. Wendell's one, you can see it in the when I uploaded onto YouTube, because I think his was, my life is always perfect, something to do with perfection. And second one, I kind of forgot about it. So yeah. Hi guys. If I assume that my SP is thinking about me and missing me, then she is. Yes. So thought transmissions are real. She may not feel it on a conscious level, but on a subconscious level, she is. So just assume that. Yeah. Fill that ambiguity with favorable thoughts. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. So guys, yeah, I'm about to wrap it up. So if you have any super last questions, just let me know. Yeah, we'll call it a day. So thank you for coming up into the live, and this was very spontaneous, but the response was very overwhelming. So guys, thank you so much, and yeah, thank you. And yeah, this will be on YouTube shortly, and I'll also post the link. And all my uploads are there as well. Be sure to check out Wendell's page as well. It's called Hopenuggets. And yeah, so one of my previous lives is in his IGTV as well, because we couldn't upload it onto YouTube due to technical stuff. So be sure to check it out as well. So guys, stay safe and happy manifesting. Peace.